Welcome to the Mastery Club 10 Lessons Online Adventure. We're up to session number 3. Last week we looked at the smart way of setting goals. So that they're specific and simple, meaningful and measurable, action-oriented and achievable, realistic and responsible, and timed, short and long term, present tense, and the test is, does it inspire you? Do your goals inspire you? We also talked about prefacing the goal with the very simple statement, I am so grateful that I now, right? And the attitude of gratitude is really important in life. If you can every day think of what you're grateful for, that attitude just attracts more good stuff into your life. Right now, what am I grateful for? You. I'm grateful for you and the people like you who have been reading my book and sending me appreciative messages. So thank you. We also talked about the importance of goal-supportive language. So there's no point setting a goal and then undermining yourself constantly with the way you speak. And becoming conscious of what we're saying to ourselves is really important, because remember that what we say to ourselves is what our reticular activating system then goes to prove to us, to keep us sane, so that our beliefs and our experience match up. So for example, some years ago I became conscious that I kept saying to myself, nobody wants what I have to offer, because it seemed as if a lot of my stories were being rejected by publishers and not winning competitions, and my family weren't getting on well, and so I just felt nobody wanted what I had to offer, and I became conscious that I was saying that over and over as a kind of almost silent mantra at the back of my mind. When I became conscious of it, I decided, well, that won't do, and I turned it around to my contribution, my loving service, my creative gifts are valued and wanted, and the universe delights in paying me richly for them. And so I started to say that phrase, which felt really good. It almost felt like a missing vitamin, And over time, that's exactly what's happened. And I have been experiencing that the universe wants what I have to offer. So what we're up to today is session number 3, which is all about visualization. Visualization is really kind of consciously and deliberate daydreaming, And so we spoke about it very briefly last week with the basketball experiment. So remember, there were the 3 groups, one that trained on the courts, one that just visualized training, just literally sat their eyes closed imagining it, and the 3rd group that did nothing at all. And that 2nd group that just visualized achieved almost exactly the same results as the group that physically trained. And that's because of this part of our brain that can't tell the difference between something that's real and something that's imagined. And we can really capitalize on that, can't we? We can absolutely take advantage of that fact. So this session we're going to look at lots of stories about visualization, lots of examples, and we're going to have a go, all right? Visualization has long been used by athletes. For example, visualizing a golf ball going right along the green and landing exactly in their hole. And there are lots of studies about this that you can explore and research yourself. Another place is in oncology wards, which is cancer wards, where visualization has been used by patients successfully to shrink tumours by literally imagining it, and to manage the pain that they're experiencing. Medical intuitive Caroline Mace tells the story of a boy who had a tumour who visualized a Star Wars kind of army coming in to bomb the tumour and totally disintegrate it. So it's a pretty powerful strategy that's already used in lots of places, and more by the medical profession. This is an article from the Weekend Australian about West Australian plastic surgeon Fiona Wood. Fiona Wood designed or invented spray-on skin, which is something that can be used to help people who are recovering from burns, severe burns. And she says, I sort of fancifully say we can think ourselves whole. We need to understand how visualization impacts on healing. This is an article called The Healing Power of Imagination by Sue Dunleavy. And Fiona Wood also she's wanting to now trial the use of 3D computerized avatars. Why? To see if giving a patient's brain the image of working undamaged body parts will speed up the healing process. Pretty interesting, huh? Have you heard of Janine Shepherd? Here's a picture of Janine Shepherd. This is one of her books, Never Tell Me Never. Janine was an Australian athlete heading for the Olympics in skiing. until she had a road accident while she was out training on her bike. And she broke her neck, she broke her back, had internal injuries, all sorts of things. She was told she would probably never walk again. Well, here are some pictures actually from the book of Janine being picked up after the accident and then spending the first few months in hospital on her back or on her stomach, literally unable to move. But she now does walk. And not only that, she's become a pilot. She's created a whole new life. We'll talk to her a little bit more down the track. But here's something that she says. My belief is we make things happen by visualizing them in our heads. Our thoughts influence and define our actions. By maintaining a positive image in our minds, we can create the future as we want it to be. And when we do this, opportunities just seem to appear. And here's the big one. I have discovered that by controlling the thoughts that enter my head, I can control my future. My recovery has been an achievement of mind, not of body. Well, I'm sure it's both really, because her body's intelligence has worked with her to create this amazing healing. But she did literally spend months lying there on that hospital bed, visualizing her body healing. Here's another story about that. Have you heard of Dr. Joe Dispenza? Dr. Dispenza was a chiropractor, and at one point he also had a really devastating accident where he was given a 50% chance of ever walking again. His doctors wanted to do some pretty radical surgery, insert rods in his spine that would probably be painful. He would probably always have a disability. He may not work, he may never walk again, but they said if he didn't do it, the minute he stood up, he would cause himself total paralysis. Well, being a chiropractor, Dr. Dispenza was already familiar with the intelligence in the body, and he didn't entirely believe that. He didn't want to go along with that, the doctor's prognosis. And so this is what he said. Dr. Dispenza reflected on what he knew about the body and its ability to heal from working as a chiropractor, and he decided to put himself in the hands of divine intelligence. He believed the intelligence of the body could heal him. The power that makes the body heals the body. He checked out of hospital and was transported to the home of some friends where he was given a beautifully bright, spacious room with sky views. He ate only a raw diet and very little to keep his energy for his healing, and spent 3 hours a day, morning, noon and evening, in self-hypnosis and meditation. I visualized, he says, with the joy of being totally healed, that's that attitude of gratitude, that my spine was fully repaired. I mentally reconstructed my spine, building each segment. I stared at hundreds of pictures of spines to help me perfect my mental imagery. My focused thoughts would help direct the greater intelligence already at work to heal me. And his focused thoughts did. He literally has healed himself, and he's now completely healthy, and it took only a few weeks. Within 6 to 12 weeks, he was already recovered. And I think within 12 weeks he was back at work as a full-time chiropractor. Isn't that an amazing story? But hold on, there's more. Have you heard of John Gabriel? Here's a picture of John Gabriel as he was some years ago, extremely overweight, in fact obese. And notice how he looks today. How did he achieve that? Largely through visualization. And he teaches a method called the Gabriel method, where he incorporates this visualization. He discovered that his body wanted to be fat. So rather than fighting it and going on diets, he began to just simply replace the mental images he had of himself, create a new identity. He started to visualize himself as slim as he wanted to be. And he applied the power of love and visualization. There's that attitude of gratitude again, to totally transform his body. He not only lost that weight, that excess weight, quite rapidly, but with none of the excess skin bagging that often occurs when an obese person goes to lose weight. And so affirmations and visualization, 30 seconds to 2 minutes each day, are an essential part of his regime. Pretty interesting, huh? So now let me tell you about my story with visualization. One of them you will have already read in this book, The Mastery Club, Chapter 8, because I gave my experience to Liz, Nina's Aunt Liz, the model, who tells the story of being in a language class, a sort of super learning language class, where the students were asked to relax and to visualize themselves remembering the new language words that they were learning. But what Liz did, and what I did, because I was literally in that class myself some years ago, was she visualized herself being at a dance competition she was going to that evening and winning. And that was what I did. While everyone else was visualizing the words, I was visualizing myself winning the competition. And as it happens, just as I wrote about in the book, I arrived at the competition just as they were calling my name, my item, my event, and quickly ran in, changed my shoes, got onto the dance floor, and as you can imagine, probably feeling a bit, you'd be feeling a little bit kind of flustered with rushing in just at the last minute like that, and yet went on to win. And I'm sure that visualization had something to do with it. Another story, do you remember saying that I was going through some family challenges for a period? Well, I certainly was. And one of the things that I believe helped me was sitting in my little office by myself and visualizing my family reunited and loving. And it's not that we'd split up, we were all living together under the same roof, but with a bit of kind of shouting, yelling, crying, misery. It was not a happy time. And I would sit there until I literally had tears of gratitude running down my face, and I would be thinking, visualizing, seeing my family in a big loving hug. And it really did work, because today I do have a very united and loving family. So what makes visualization so effective? How does it work? Well, the first thing to be aware of is that there is a link between the mind and the body. You would have experienced this if you were ever reading a menu and you found yourself salivating. Or have you ever even just thought about a lemon and found your mouth kind of going kind of sour, feeling sour inside? This is because as we read, as we think about something, our body literally experiences it in order for us to understand what we're reading and thinking about. So there is a very definite link between the mind and the body. Another reason is because the brain works via imagery. So if someone were to come to your country from another country and not speak the language, they'd only need to see a picture of ladies or men or a picture of a danger sign, and they would know that means the ladies or the gents' toilets, or that means danger, don't go there, because there are certain images that we recognize universally, and pictures are a universal language as compared to our different spoken languages. And the third thing is this principle we've already referred to, that there is a part of the brain that cannot tell the difference between real and imagined. Right? Now here's a very interesting story about that. I love this story. Some soldiers were sent on a hike, but one group of soldiers were told they were walking for 20 kilometers, and the others were told they were walking for 10 kilometers. And do you know that the ones who were told they had walked for 20 kilometers felt and experienced more signs of fatigue than the ones who were told they'd only walked 10 kilometers, but they had all walked the same distance? Interesting, isn't it? So in their minds, they believed one thing, and their bodies matched up with what they believed. Really interesting. Another interesting story I read once is about a woman who was at an opera concert of some kind, and she felt a headache coming on, and she happened to be there with the doctor, and she sort of whispered to him in the dark of the auditorium, "Oh, I've got a headache, have you got anything?" And this doctor handed her something and said, "Put this in your mouth, just hold it under your tongue, but don't swallow it." So she put this in her mouth, and as the concert kept going, she was sort of wondering why this tablet wasn't dissolving. When it came to interval, she took it out of her mouth to have a look at it. And by then, mind you, her headache had cleared up, and she discovered that she had a button in her mouth. So it wasn't a tablet at all, but because she believed it was, her headache cleared up. And that's called the placebo effect. And there are lots and lots of stories of people who have, of studies that have been done where one person is given a medicine, a drug, a vitamin supplement, and someone else is given nothing at all, but told they're being given that same item. And both of them record a healing response. In fact, in this very newspaper article about Fiona Wood, there was a little notice here about a study involving pregnant women who took a supplement and those who didn't, who took a placebo, and both showed the same response. of an improvement in health and greater resistance to colds. Interesting, huh? The power of the mind. Here's a great quote, a couple of great quotes from Albert Einstein. He says, "All problems are problems of the imagination, and all solutions are solutions of the imagination." He also says, "Imagination is more important than knowledge. It is the preview of life's coming attractions," which means that what we visualize is what we will experience. Let's get on to that now. Let's get into a few visualization games. I'm going to move through these exercises pretty quickly, so just hit your pause button so that you can practice each one and then go to the next one. So for the very first one, I'd like you to close your eyes and visualize a house. Now tell me, what did you see? Did you see the word house, or did you see a picture of a house? I will bet that you saw a picture, and that's because the brain works in images, by imagery. Okay. Take a moment now, look at your own hand, all right? Have a really good close look at it, and then close your eyes and visualize it. Summon the image of your hand. See how clearly you can see your own hand. Just take a moment to do that. Okay, now close your eyes again and visualize your bedroom or a room in your house. Take that moment to close eyes, visualize, summon that image of your bedroom. Can you look around the room? Can you scan the room while you're visualizing it? Now visualize a family member or a friend. Take a moment to see that person right in front of you. And then imagine that person doing something, maybe laughing, crying, washing the dishes, whatever. Find some action that they can be doing and visualize them doing it. Visualize an object and see if you can even rotate it in your mind. Visualize your favorite meal and see if you can include any of your other senses. Can you smell it? Can you taste it? Visualize yourself doing something, some sporty thing. Imagine yourself outside running or something. Can you feel that sense of your feet hitting the ground? Can you feel the sun on your skin? Can you feel the wind through your hair? Think of some music. Can you hear it? Now everyone has different abilities here. Some of you will find some of those exercises really easy to do and others quite difficult, if not impossible. I can't do them all. I'm not greatest at smelling and tasting foods or hearing music or even rotating objects. But it doesn't really matter. We only need to have a rudimentary ability to be able to use visualization. And if you can only visualize something for a flash, for just a few seconds, that's fine. You don't have to hold it there, and you don't have to see it like a movie for it to work for you. If you can just get a flash or a second, that's fine. It will become stronger the more that you use it, just like a muscle. Can you hear some music? This is Baroque or Largo music. It's perfect for deep relaxation, for meditation, and for learning, because it puts us into a very deeply relaxed but alert kind of state. It puts us, in fact, into the alpha brainwave cycle. You know, there are 4 cycles that our brains go through. The first one is beta, which is our everyday thinking. The second is alpha, which is this deep relaxation. We're quite alert, but deeply relaxed. The third is theta, which is a more deeply relaxed, more slow, kind of sleepy state. And the fourth is delta, where we literally are asleep, right? Alpha is that state just as we're dropping off to sleep, or just as we're waking up, when we're quite drowsy, dozy, but still quite alert. So what I'd like you to do is think of your goal. Think of that thing that is important to you, that you would like to achieve. Think about it in measurable detail. What is going to happen at the moment that you achieve that goal? Make sure you've got that clear in your mind. And what we'll do now is a few minutes of alpha brainwave relaxation. Get really relaxed so that you can then visualize your goal. You ready? So first of all, make yourself comfortable, either sitting or lying. And then close your eyes. Take 3 deep breaths. And with your eyes closed, listen. Notice what you can hear at this time. The music is one thing. What else can you hear? The sound, perhaps, of different noises in your home or your environment. Just notice those sounds. Now put all of your attention on what you can feel with your body. Your back, your legs, your feet, your hands, your jaw, your eyes, the muscles in your face. Just put all of your attention on your body and what you can sense. This time, direct all of your attention to your sense of smell. What can you smell at this time? What scents can you notice? You might also like to notice your sense of taste. What can you taste at the moment? And now, let's go to your internal sense of vision. Visualize this scene where you are achieving this thing that is important to you right now. See everything that's happening in color if you can. Bring that scene to life in front of your eyes. And allow that vision to expand into what you can hear, what you can sense, what you can taste, what you can smell, what you can touch. Create a visually rich image of what's happening at this moment when you're achieving this thing that is so important to you. And if you've been seeing it as a picture happening in front of you like a photo, step inside it so that your feet are inside your feet, so that you're looking through your eyes, so the thing is happening to you right now. It's actually happening. You're doing it. You're achieving it. And allow yourself to feel your delight. Feel that gratitude. Let it come bubbling right up. You are so grateful now that you are achieving this thing that is so important to you. You might feel so grateful that you even experience a tear of gratitude. And when you feel that you have this experience, that you are grounded inside it, open your eyes and come back to now. How's that? I hope you had a really rich and real sense of you achieving your goal. So congratulations. It just has to happen in the physical now, right? So that's the thing. To achieve our goals, we need to do both the inner work and the outer work. The inner work is the visualization, the affirmations, the goal supportive language. The outer work is to literally take action out in the world to bring our goals about, right? So your mastery task this week is to do this visualization every day. You only need to take 30 seconds to 2 minutes. Remember John Gabriel, that was all he did to go from this to this. So take a few seconds every day, a minute or two, to visualize your goal. Keep going with your SMART affirmation, your gratitude, and I will meet you next week to start taking more action. And in the meantime, let's catch up on the forum. Create a great week.